You know, when I watched Infinity War and Endgame, I had one problem, the rat problem. Both are pretty damn good movies, probably the best in the Marvel Universe. I don't think anyone can argue that. But when I watch Infinity War and Endgame, I always ask myself a question about one scene. Now, let's talk about that. Did Doctor Strange gamble with his time stone to save the one timeline in Infinity War? You might be thinking, what's up with the rat and the Doctor Strange? The rat is the reason Ant-Man was released, not Doctor Strange. Remember, Doctor Strange saw 14 million possible outcomes for Endgame, but they won in only one timeline, right? Doctor Strange was right about one thing. He didn't tell anyone how it would happen, because getting that one outcome required events to play out exactly as they did. Telling Tony or anyone else would have altered events to play out differently. Even after Doctor Strange had successfully simulated one winning outcome, reproducing the exact result must have been very difficult. Every step, every second, every move, and every word spoken must have been accurately reproduced or reperformed as in the simulation. Then, this happened. The director of the movies came out and said, "There were million versions of this story where the rat did not step on the button." So, we can guess the scriptwriter chose the timeline where the rat pressed the right button all along. Before that comment, I thought every timeline hadn't the rat pressed the right button, because that event happened out of our hero's control. But apparently not. That's a big problem for my small mind. I just couldn't digest it. Why? That means there are millions of other timelines where the rat messed up big time and Ant-Man never got out. Consequently, the Avengers would never have realized there was a way to time travel. Tony would still be thinking time travel couldn't happen because of scientific theories. He was convinced because Ant-Man, Scott Lang, had already proven he could time travel to the future in Endgame. Otherwise, Tony never would have gone down that route and never would have found a way to manipulate time. Let's go back to the topic. If the Avengers or any other person never interfered with the rat, how could Doctor Strange have known he was going to choose the right timeline? Let's say after the snap, everything happened perfectly as Doctor Strange saw. But when the Scott Lang escape event occurred, millions of timeline branches must have happened with every single wrong button pressed, meaning Ant-Man would still be stuck in the quantum realm in those timelines. There's a 0% chance Doctor Strange knew he was going to choose the right path.
How many did we win? One.
Other than giving up the time stone, giving Destiny control, and praying for Scott Lang's escape. He really gambled with everyone's future. At least he should have given a hint to Tony about rescuing Scott. Yes, I know it would screw things up big time, but at least it wouldn't be a gamble. Tony left Titan with zero information about Doctor Strange's plan and thinking he was going to lose. He, nor the other Avengers, had any idea Scott was even stuck. This isn't even a movie problem, just the Russo brothers' comment about the rat. But I also saw a quote from the film's writers Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely, where they said the rat freeing Scott is not really a coincidence. It's an incident, and it took 5 years to happen, and undoubtedly, Doctor Strange saw it. If we take that quote and think about it, the rat pressed the right button every time. After 5 years from the snap, the rat came to the warehouse, found Scott's minivan, found the panel, pressed the right button, and made the future. Because, according to the writers, it's not a coincidence. But according to the director, the rat pressed another million possible outcome buttons. When you handle a time travel story, you'd better stick to your main story. They actually ruined a couple of timelines in Endgame, like Loki escaping with the Tesseract. And at the end of the movie, Steve Rogers going to spend his life with Peggy Carter. Yes, they gave closure to Loki's journey after he escaped from his reality with his own show, becoming a god who controls all the timelines in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But on the other hand, we never got to see what happened with Steve Rogers. He went back to the past, and he altered a new timeline where two Captain Americas were present, who spent time under the iceberg, and himself, the one who time traveled to the past. Then he came back to the main timeline again and gave Sam a new shield. Where did he find one? His old one was destroyed by Thanos. So many questions. After handing over the shield, where did he go? Did he go back to his timeline where he lived with Peggy? Or did he stay with his original timeline? Even after Phase 5, we never got the answer to that. And we never will. Because Chris Evans' contract ended with his Endgame appearance as Captain America. There is a chance he will come back, but it's very small due to the expanding nature of the MCU. They had all good things, but they tried to eat every fruit in the basket. It feels like they ruined some characters with time travel. Doctor Strange would never gamble with his time stone. Even he knew the Ancient One was going to hand over the time stone to Bruce Banner. That's a big thing, considering that in 2012, the Ancient One and Doctor Strange had never met in their lives. They should have stuck to the theory that the rat always pressed the right button. Maybe Joe Russo joked about it, but it still ruined some of the movie's flow. And also, when I did the research for this video, I saw a nice theory about the rat, that the rat was possessed by the astral form of Doctor Strange, who escaped the death of his physical body from the snap. Because something like that happened in the Doctor Strange comic when Dormammu stole Doctor Strange's body and he had to hide. If we really need to think about it more, did the quantum tunnel operate fine after 5 years without maintenance? I think when we truly invest in the story and really dig deep, Endgame has a lot of plot holes. They don't even come from the movie itself per se. It's just that after the movie came out, filmmakers gave interviews and all of a sudden, plot holes appeared. Sometimes, they really should never clarify things. They should allow viewers to think about them. Okay, lads, if you're still around, thank you for listening to my Brain Rot Plot Holes video. I appreciate it. If you like the video, subscribe to Honest Real and like the video. I'll catch you with another brain rot criticism for Endgame. Like, why the hell Tony and Steve went back to the 1970s when in 2012 they still had Hank Pym for Pym particles. Have a nice day, lads.